Hey everybody, I hope you guys are doing well. I wanted to come to you guys with another video and ask you if you were able to catch last night's episode of Fix My Life with Iyanla, of course, hosting Lisa Raye, her mother Miss Katie, and her daughter Kai. Now, I set my TV because I didn't want to miss this. I saw the previews online yesterday and I'm like, what is this? Now, I was going to talk about Lisa Raye and her antics in a different video, but I've actually decided to go ahead and scrap it after watching this. Because if you don't know, Lisa Raye was on her messy-ass show with her girls, Vivica A. Fox, Claudia Jordan, and Selena Johnson. And she said some stuff basically alluding to the fact that Halle Berry was just a bad lay. Like she was just terrible in bed. Now she said that's what she heard, right? It was like secondhand information, and Halle Berry pretty much added her. She added her on Twitter and asked about me, asked my man about me. And Lisa Raye tried to pretty much clean it up. But Lisa Raye been on one for a minute. But after watching this episode last night, I decided to scrap, like I said, what I was going to say about Lisa Raye, because it kind of explains it all last night based on what I saw. Now, I haven't been watching Fix My Life regularly the way I used to, because there was a point in time where I felt like it was super authentic. Then I felt like, I don't know if, Iyanla ain't really fixing nobody's life here. But I also felt, in a sense, that at the end of the day, Iyanla had to make good TV. Because no matter what the issues are between whoever is on there, her job is still to make good television. Last night, I think she made good television, but I don't think that she was attempting to. I honestly think that Iyanla was on fire last night, and I think that she really was attempting to help this situation, and for a moment forgot about this being for good TV. I do. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt here, and felt like she really was trying. This was something that was so interesting to me, and it really speaks to these mother-daughter relationships and how this is happening somewhere in somebody's household today. That was on display last night. So let me just kind of break down just a quick synopsis of the episode. So Lisa Raye, as you know, she's been an actress for a minute, and she is 4 generations. Okay, it's Miss Katie, that's her mother. Lisa was an only child for her mother, right? There is, so you have Miss Katie, Lisa, Kai, which is Lisa's daughter. She's about 30 years old. And then you have Kai's daughter. So Lisa is a grandmother. You have 4 generations. And it was revealed that they're all living under the same roof. Miss Katie came out to Lisa's, but when COVID hit, she stayed, right? She kind of got, so to speak, stuck out there. And Miss Katie, based on her appearance last night, she ain't feeling none of it. She ain't feeling nobody in the household. And you could just see how closed and bristled she was last night. Like, she came in with an attitude. And I'll get into that in a minute, okay? So it is revealed that there's a lot of tension in the house, and that they are constantly bickering. They're constantly at each other's necks because Miss Katie feels like she is not respected as the head of the family, so to speak. There's a power struggle between Miss Katie, being the matriarch of the family, right, and Lisa, because it's Lisa's home. And you see that throughout the entire episode, that there is this power struggle. There's a constant power struggle. So Miss Katie's like, listen, I just stay in my room because I don't feel like being bothered. They don't listen to me. They don't want to have nothing. They just treat me a certain type of way. And, Iyanla attempts to try to sort this out in the little time that she's given, because I believe that they only tape for like 2 days. This required way more than that. But she attempted to kind of like just get to the root of what's going on with Miss Katie. And you could just tell that Miss Katie is she mad. You could just look at her. She mad. And you see it in her. And you see that, as Iyanla begins to talk to her, that the root of her anger stems back from her philandering husband. Now, I'm from Chicago. It was always kind of like out there that, and I think it's public knowledge for the most part, if you've ever followed Lisa, and she's talked about this many times, is that her dad was he was just out there. He was a pretty big dude here in Chicago, and he was out there, and he had many, many, many women. Okay. And, when he was killed, he was still married to Lisa's mama. But he had a whole lot of women. Matter of fact, he was killed by one of his girlfriends. Okay. He also had a whole lot of money. Okay. And Miss Katie goes on to basically say how she was, the 7th of 13 children, and how, in a sense, he was her way out. She married him as kind of a way out of being, in the South, picking cotton, all this other stuff. She married this man because he was her way out. He was a philanderer. Turns out he had a Roman spirit. He was out here with all these different women, right? And she stayed with him. She stayed with him through it all. It was public knowledge. It was well known that he was out here with all these different women. And there was this power struggle between Lisa's mother and Lisa, because Lisa was his little princess. That was his baby doll. That was his princess. He would give Lisa the world. He would give her everything. And you could see that there was this power struggle between mom, who he completely disrespected, right, and treated like garbage, although she stayed, right? And there's a reason for that. So I don't want to judge her on that. There was this power struggle between the wife, who was treated like crap, and Lisa, who was treated like a princess and got everything she got. And mom felt the type of way because Lisa knew she felt like Lisa knew about her father's cheating and his philandering ways, and that she was okay with it, because it came out later in the episode that Lisa went and moved with the dad and one of his girlfriends. Okay. So it's as if Miss Katie is blaming Lisa for a lot that went down between her and her husband, because I think, and it comes to be revealed to me in the way I looked at it, is that Lisa kind of became the other woman. Like, he had a lot of women, but he treated his daughter like a wife. He treated her like a wife, and he didn't treat his own wife well. I remember this moment where it was like he would deny Lisa's mother money, and then Lisa's mother would go and say, Lisa, go get the money. That kind of stuff. Like, you have to think about psychologically what that would do. And you already know there's this strange dynamic between mothers and daughters. Now think about that, and how there must have been some jealousy, on the part of a mother to her own daughter, because of how he treated his daughter, right? And how, again, this man controlled both of them with money. Lisa's mother stayed because of money, and Lisa kind of dealt with the kind of man that her father was because of money. And that really came out in last night's episode. They also talk about Kai, and how when Kai was younger, 13, I believe, Lisa sent her away to like some kind of like alternative school because she was acting out and all this other stuff. And that was kind of interesting to me. That was really interesting that that's how Lisa chose to handle her daughter in that moment, and how it is now manifesting itself, and how their relationship with one another. I just thought that was, I just like, wow, she sent her away to an alternative school in Iowa because, according to Kai, she had an attitude. Now, I don't know if that was the full, complete truth of it, but still, to send her away, that's just kind of interesting to me. Yeah. But the overall conversation last night, again, stemmed around Lisa and her mother, and how they were both manipulated. But I was, manipulated, heavy on the man, M-A-N, because they were both manipulated by Lisa's father, and Lisa saw him as some kind of, as any girl would want to see her father, right? Like, he is just the best thing walking. And because he used his money in that sense, I think it has certainly manifested itself into how Lisa has gone on to have several relationships, and how she, got with the premier, the prime minister of Turks and Caicos, and how he had supposedly had money, how she wanted that security the way she saw in her father, and how she kept choosing certain men in that regard. So I think that was a very interesting episode, but it was sad to watch, simply because I was looking at Miss Katie and thinking about the trauma that she herself has been dealing with. And in my opinion, blaming a child, I do feel like she was blaming Lisa, as if this wasn't this tug of war. Both parents were emotionally manipulating Lisa, right? They were both doing it. Her daddy wanted, to play the, this is my daddy's little girl, let me give you the world, to kind of, so that you won't judge me on what I am doing to your mother. And Lisa resented her mother. If you guys remember last night, Lisa pretty much admitted to, and Miss Katie came out and said, like, she wished that it would have been me. She wished that I'm the one that, would have left this earth, in that sense. And the tug of war that Lisa probably somewhere along the lines felt between her parents. Can you imagine being stuck in that position where your daddy out there doing dirt on your mama? Just out there doing dirt on your mama. Just being foul, being wrong, being all of that. And your mom feeling the tug of staying because it is financial security for her, but also feeling like she's competing against her daughter. And both parents are tugging at this woman. And Lisa learned how to play it, right? She learned how to play it. She knew what her daddy was on. She knew what her daddy was about. Now, a lot of people always ask about the brat. I saw some people online last night, why the brat wasn't there? I mean, first of all, Lisa is her mother's only child. The brat was by another woman. Again, her daddy he had a Roman spirit. So ain't no reason for the brat to be in that room. Now, Miss Katie already barely wanted Lisa there, right? So why she gonna want brat there as a reminder of what her husband was out here doing, that he produced another child? Again, they were still married when the man was killed. So why would the mother want that constant reminder, right? She barely wanted Lisa in the room. So I can't say that anything was fixed last night, but I do think that Iyanla was really trying to make everybody accountable for what they were. And I just think that Miss Katie just wasn't trying to hear it. Miss Katie wasn't ready to receive that message and take any kind of accountability for that. I don't think that any of them were truly ready. So it was disappointing that it was just a one part episode. I've seen Iyanla do several part episodes. This was one of those situations where I felt like they needed more than one episode. And I got to tell you, I don't think shit was fixed. I don't think that nothing was fixed between Lisa, her mama, and Kai. Okay, matter of fact, the reason why I think Lisa's so goddamn messy all the time is because they be in that house fighting. They be in that house arguing and cussing and fussing, and Miss Katie cussed Lisa out, go slam her door, probably go in her room, and then Lisa go downstairs or wherever she taped the show, Fox Soul, and then she already got that energy on her. She already got an attitude, so she go and inflict that bullshit on other people. Remember, how many times have Lisa come on that show, Fox Soul, and said some out of pocket shit, and you'd be like, wait a minute, where that come from? And now it kind of makes sense, like, well, goddamn, that Lisa's so hard because her mother is who she is, and none of them have healed from that. And then now Kai, you got Kai in the midst of that, you know. It was a big mess. Like that could be a whole nother conversation about Kai and Lisa. But I really wanted to just, for the most part, focus on what I saw last night and what I observed between Lisa and her mother. Because I honestly think that the husband, her father, manipulated them both. And Lisa has been trying to find her father in another man. And that's why she ended up with that Turks and Caicos dude that was out here playing her and out here stealing the folks' money down in Turks and Caicos. He was a mess. I think that's how she ended up with that kind of stuff, and why she kind of presents herself in this really hard exterior, right? I just think that she was emotionally manipulated as a child. Now, that don't excuse her messiness and what she's been doing out here, but it does give me an insight as to why she is the way she is. Miss Katie, she's something else, okay? She is a true Chicago woman. I could just look at her and tell. But Miss Katie is something else. And I just don't think that while I think Iyanla was on fire and she was saying she was hitting them points last night, I don't necessarily think anything has changed in that house. I just don't. I think that what Miss Katie is dealing with and the trauma of what she is dealing with and what she's feeling, that's going to take a long time and some therapy to unpack. And she just looked like she wasn't ready to receive any of that. I just think that they require some serious therapy, because Miss Katie was not in the receiving mood. And there's a lot of that. There's that it just, when you look at these family relationships and these dynamics and how, like I said, he manipulated both his wife and his daughter. His daughter was truly more like a wife than a daughter. I mean, I don't know if anybody else saw it that way, but I certainly saw that last night. And Lisa, maybe not knowing it in the sense, she did know that. She kind of knew how her dad treated her better than he treated his wife, his actual wife. I think Lisa knew that, right? But again, I'm on the receiving end of my daddy's love, my daddy's affection, my daddy's attention, and my daddy's money. And I'm resenting my mother because she don't understand any of it. So it's a lot of that. It's that shit happens in households more often than not, in these dynamics between mothers and daughters. But Miss Katie, I hope that Miss Katie gets some healing from what she's dealt with, because that's a lot to unpack. So I honestly think that Iyanla should have did a 2-parter, hell, a 3-parter on this. She should have did Miss Katie first, and then Kai should have been a completely different episode, because I do think that there's a lot to unpack in that. There's 4 generations of women under one roof. You can imagine what that must be like, okay, and what that looks like. But I'm just guessing that when Lisa got on there and talked about Halle Berry, I'm just thinking that she had just got into it with Miss Katie. Miss Katie went in there and slammed her door, was calling her, I ain't gonna do shit, and Lisa got on. She had to start the show. She had to get on Fox Soul, and she just started being messy, because it was just in her spirit to do so. She just wanted to inflict pain on somebody else. She just wanted to, and she's, like I said, she's done this more than once. So it kind of all makes sense now to me. But I just wanted to share that because I watched the episode, and then I watched the replay of the episode, And what stuck out to me most is that these dynamics are far more common than not when it comes to mothers and their daughters. It's just an interesting dynamic there, and it's so much hurt between Lisa and her mother, and so much hurt in Miss Katie. She is so hardened by and she's taken it out on her daughter. She absolutely has taken it out on Lisa, and now we know why Lisa is the way she is, right? And what she seeks in other men, and what she seeks in men. She's trying to find her daddy all over again, and that's a terrible thing. She should not be trying to look for her daddy, not like that. All right, but anyway, I just wanted to share my thoughts on that episode, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Now, before I go, guys, I just wanted to say something. Just thank you guys I am like 50 subscribers away from 30,000, and I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. As you know, like I said, I don't do a lot of graphics. I don't have the fancy editing, but I appreciate that you guys just hang out with me, and you just want to hear what I got to say, and I absolutely appreciate it, and I love you guys, and I will see you down in the comments, okay? So, again, do me a favor, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, hit the notification bell, and share the video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.